7 o'clock. I'm going to call this work session to order. Supervisor LaFountain and Councilwoman Moore are out of town. So we'll be going through the agenda in order tonight. We do have a couple guests coming up, but I just wanted to, certainly just for protocol purposes, we will not be discussing any held items or informational items on our agenda. We will be sticking to the guests and our action items and the other items on the agenda tonight. So I'll call the meeting to order, and I will note for the record that myself, Councilwoman Moore, and Councilwoman Quinn are here.
No, Cole.
Cole? I'm sorry, what is it, Moore?
Yeah.
You're Moore and Quinn.
I'm not. I'm Quinn.
I'm looking at Amy's.
At least today.
Lisa knows.
You know, I'm looking at me. Okay, I will take a motion for approval of the minutes.
I'll move.
I'll second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Minutes will be approved. Monthly reports for March. I haven't been told that there are any outstanding, so we have no public hearings tonight. We'll move on to guests, and we'll go right in order with Dr. Falone. Update of building proposal at 146 Fairport 9 Mile Point Road. Who wants to tee this off for us?
I guess I will. Dr. Falone came in back in 2014 and actually received an approval from the board to, he got a preliminary overall approval to develop 3 buildings, which you see on that map over there. The building to the top left is the one that houses the 3 tenants, Lowe's, the AT&T, and soon to be the Chen family's restaurant. The one just to the right of that was a 4,000 square foot building that received preliminary approval, as did the one in the back. And I believe you're here tonight to talk a little bit about the front building, the 4,000 square foot building.
And the back.
And the back, all
I
right.
have tenants for all.
So as you all remember, this was the site where the KFC was proposing their site. So why don't you go ahead and tell the board what you'd like to do.
So in the front building on next door to Mo's and AT&T, closest to 250, I have 2 proposed tenants, which is Metro Mattress and Pizza Hut. And the property to the east, which was approved for 5,000 square foot, would be a 4,000 square foot physical therapy building.
And so the 4,000 square foot physical therapy building is permitted activity within that district, so that really doesn't come under the incentive zoning proposal as would the one in front, because there's a potential for retail sales, obviously. Okay.
What is the address be for the PT building? Is it?
We're gonna have to come up with a different one. The Reese property was 2146.
Okay.
So for that back piece,
There hasn't been one designated yet?
no,
Okay.
I mean, I don't know if we really have to, because we already have that main entrance.
Well, are you splitting that property off? Will it be 2 separate parcels when you're done?
I don't know yet.
I was thinking more for the minutes so that we have a
So the
delineation of
good
that.
point. The property in question is 2146.
Yes.
If there's an intent to split that off, where the property to the east would be the office space, that potentially could become 2148. Is there, the next one over is 2150, I believe. So there is still room to put 2148
Okay.
in if that occurs.
Little question.
Still have to verify that.
So, how big are these Pizza Hut and the Metro Mattress?
Metro Mattress is 2,500 and the Pizza Hut's 2,000.
Is that would that be similar to the Pizza Hut that's on Fairport Road? In size, shape?
The building facade, the elevation of the building is going to be similar to the one to the south, where Mo's and AT&T
Okay.
is. So it's not going to have its, red and...
Okay. But same size, square footage?
I think they're actually going for a smaller square footage prototype.
It'd have to be.
Where's one? There's a smaller one around here, isn't there?
Yeah, I mean, it's a new prototype. Same with Metro Mattress. Metro Mattress is usually 3,200 and they're going to 2,500.
Dr. Plum, you know that one in Baytown? There's one in Baytown.
It went into a portion of the
It
old
looks kinda
Blockbuster end of the plaza, and I'm not sure how many square foot, but I think it's a smaller.
I'm not sure what it is.
believe
But that's
it's
new.
less.
I was just thinking maybe that's about the... Is it a takeout? It's a takeout. It's a...
They're actually requesting to do a drive-through, which I don't know if that'll work.
You know, we don't
No.
get excited over that.
That was the issue with KFC, was the
Yeah.
fact that they had a drive-through, which was causing all sorts of
Yeah.
conflicts.
Is that a deal breaker for you, or is that something
No.
you just talked about? All right, that's good.
You said it's going to match the architecture of the
Of the south,
existing building.
building to the south, yeah.
How many parking spots, is there enough parking to accommodate full staffing at both stores?
Based on, if you split the properties, the one for the 4,500 is about 32 parking spaces, which is about a little over 7 per 1,000. And for the medical building is around 6 per 1,000.
Okay.
Do you know how much seating would be in the Pizza Hut?
No, I can get all that information.
Because that's something, I mean, when they came in last week about the Cambodian restaurant, it was very minimal, you know, I'm thinking. It was like 30, 30?
I mean, based
Yeah, we
on
have to
2,000
get
square
more
feet, I don't think they're gonna have a lot of seating.
We have shared parking agreements between the properties, correct?
Yes. And really, and the board fully understands this, the reason I brought him in tonight was to get a feel as to whether you were comfortable enough to even move forward with an application, and just get a feeling as to whether your comfort level was based on what we went through with the previous restaurant on the
Yeah.
site, so.
Well, we don't have a lot of information, you know?
Right.
If it's a smaller Pizza Hut and it doesn't have a drive-through, then it sounds intriguing, but...
Well, I think your comment's well taken. I think the issue is he's gonna have to go back and do some homework. How much seating is going to be proposed on the
Exactly.
site? You know, at least early on to determine about, you know, architectural details, because you'll work your way through that and you move forward. But you're right, you need to know how many employees are gonna be working on it per shift, how many seats they're gonna have, how, you know.
Something comparable.
Yeah, you just have to have more information about the use. I wasn't really aware about the Pizza Hut until tonight. I knew about the Metro Mattress, but, so. Not even the Metro Mattress, how many employees, there's comment well taken, how many employees do they have in any given shift
Right.
to work on the site? Because it is all shared parking, and obviously you want to have enough parking for the clientele versus having all the parking eaten up by workers.
Right.
Well, that's why I was kinda happy with the Metro Mattress, because they're not gonna generate a lot of traffic.
No.
Same with the AT&T, I mean, the parking lot where AT&T and Moe's is usually empty.
Yeah.
Even on the weekends and I mean, even, I passed by it on the way here and there was maybe 5 cars in the parking lot.
Can you talk a little bit about the 4,000 square foot building on the east side that abuts up to the neighborhood, and what your intent is to buffer from the neighbors?
I just planned on doing exactly what you guys did for the Masachi building, unless you want more or less.
Well, I think it just depends on how big the building is and how it fits on the site. It may be because of the size of it, you can pull it further away, maybe not, I don't know at this point in time, but in any event, you'd want to keep at least what you did for the
Right,
Masachi
adequate buffer.
property, yeah.
And the lighting concerns.
Yeah, yeah.
Okay, so I think it sounds as if we need to table this for some more information gathering and bring it back to us when you think it's appropriate to do so.
So you can talk to both parties and then maybe come back to the board, or, I'm not even sure you need to come back to the board unless you want to, but certainly get the information to us so I can get it to the board prior to the next meeting. You're certainly welcome to attend the meeting.
I think it'd be good if he did, you know.
Yeah.
So what do you need? You need,
Yeah, I want to get the
Seating
information
and-
for you before the next meeting, so you have it to
Employees.
digest it before if you sit here and just kind of go through
Yeah,
it.
that'd be 2 weeks from today.
That'd be the 25th, I believe.
so you need the number of employees and the...
It's all driven by the parking. We need to know that there's going to be enough parking to accommodate the 2 uses and then whatever else is happening on the
How much
site.
seating, how many employees?
Is there delivery proposed from the Pizza Hut?
Yes.
There is, okay.
That plan, I mean, obviously that plan is kind of old now, but it's conceptual, but you are going to have to think about dumpster locations, since that does eat up some space. And I know that we have worked out conceptually stormwater for that entire site based on previous approval, so we know that can be done. But I think it's just a matter of knowing how much viable parking we're gonna have based on what you're proposing for the site.
Well, the physical therapy is, the group is the same one that's at Spring Pines. So I have a good gauge on
You know
that.
what they're
I know
doing.
how many employees they're gonna
Yeah,
have.
that would be very helpful. There's two other issues that we have to address too, and I know you've been concerned about one of them. You probably don't even know about the other one yet, but the one is getting the soil removal from the site, and I have talked to you about that, and your intent is to start doing that.
The machines are there right now.
Okay. that's
So they
what
dropped them
happened.
off. We're gonna start tomorrow.
All right, great. The other issue is when we did build Mo's building, the contractor who installed the water system evidently pulled some cable out for our electric for the street lighting.
Huh.
And that hasn't been resolved yet. And I can't even tell you how many street lights there are. There's gotta be about, what, 6 or 7 of them maybe?
I'm not sure how many it affects.
But that's gotta be repaired, and we haven't come to a conclusion on that yet, so you've gotta work with us to get that taken care of.
I just need who I have to work with.
Yeah, I'll get you Jim Crickman's information, and he's our town
Yeah.
electrician.
And I think when we come back, if we can add that on as an update
Yes.
update as well.
Good
So we
point.
kind of all together to talk about the area.
So for sure, no drive-through?
I can only speak for myself, but I would not be approving any drive-through at that location.
We couldn't get 3
I
votes.
don't wanna drive
We
through.
couldn't get
Yeah.
3 votes from
So-
KFC. That was the
No,
deal breaker
yeah.
for
I
them.
just so I can go back and tell them, that's all.
And also, it seems premature, but we have had some logjam regarding signage from when you're talking about a franchise or, you know, where we've had some issues. So
Number of signs.
if there is any thought as to, if they've got a thought as to, you know, not to necessarily prejudge that it's going to go through, but I would think that they probably have some idea as to what they're, whether they're going to be looking for something additional, just,
Need to see.
And this board's been consistent with all the people in that complex about the fact that they've allowed a sign in the front, a sign in the back, because that's where the entrances basically are, and then the freestanding signage
Yeah.
Right.
on the site, so.
That was gonna be my one question. So you're gonna allow one freestanding?
This property, it was not part of that overall portion that we approved previous to the site, so you'd probably be entitled to have your own freestanding sign.
Just for that, the business in the back?
Well, no, I mean, you could have it for, if that were all one parcel, you could have one freestanding sign to accommodate all 3 tenants. If they split that off, then they're kind of in a little bit of trouble because they don't have property to the frontage to allow for a freestanding sign. So you're gonna have to work that out with the board as to how that might.
Couldn't be on the directory sign, issue at the light.
You know, and you can give him relief. I mean, if you're comfortable with a tasteful sign out front that shows 3 tenants of a certain size sign, I mean, you have the ability to do that by code. I guess it just comes down to how, we gotta find out whether he's gonna subdivide the proproperty out or not. If he
But
doesn't
even though it's not
subdivide-
owned by the same, that's,
He'd have to ask for relief from that. You'd have to rationalize why
I mean,
it
that
happened.
makes sense.
Well, how did you do it for all the other properties? Like,
Well, they have the
Panera.
ability to do it. It's just that you're gonna have to show them the most feasible way to do it so that it's tasteful and it's minimized, so you don't have signs all over the place.
you've got the directory sign that comes.
no, so I mean, we can do the one that's where Jeremiah's is, something similar to that.
Yeah, well, it won't have to be as big as
Right.
Jeremiah's, but certainly, you'll have to come up with a sign design that they're comfortable with.
Okay.
Then the Pizza Hut and the Metro Mattress, they'd be the same,
Building.
well, yeah, they just divided by, yeah. So it's not like a little plaza, it's buildings. I'm just trying to envision the
It would be exactly like the building to the south.
the malls and the,
Yeah, instead of 3, it would only be 2.
Anybody else have any other questions or?
No? I'll propose we table.
Okay.
I'll second the table.
All in favor of tabling?
Okay, we'll start working on your homework and we'll talk.
Okay. Thank you.
Thanks for coming in. Okay, next we have the Brocolos.
Oh, actually, we have
One
Mr.
Brocolo.
Bacolo tonight. Come on
One
up.
Brocolo.
Come on up.
So, excuse me, so you're not going to do any of the held items tonight?
No.
No. Officially, it's Al and Lori Nicole, discussion of a farm market at 2106.
Hey,
You're back in town.
good. Huh?
You're back in town.
I'm here from Mulch Support.
Heard you acquired some trees. I heard you acquired some trees.
That's all they've been doing. They're moving trees like crazy.
And Mr. Williams as well.
Yes.
So to set this up for the board, I had met with Mr. Williams, Mr. Brocolo, and Mrs. Brocolo.
My boss.
Several months ago, back in the fall. They indicated that they'd like to work with Terry and his wife to do a farm market type operation a couple days, well, 1 or 2 days a week.
Yeah, like Friday, Saturdays.
And I've got some materials here for the board I want to pass out. And then they went away to Florida for the winter.
Don't hold it against me.
And so we had to wait till he got back so we could spend some time with the board. So in essence, what he did was, he kind of made an application, but the application's kind of in advance right now until we can figure out how comfortable the board is. And if you see, one of the sheets is, he's got a fruit van or a flower van type thing, that he would ideally like to park on Terry's property. He shows where he'd like to do it. I have a picture of Terry's property, which has a tree in the area.
Yeah, it's right past the tree.
You're gonna what?
It goes right the other side of the tree. I measured everything.
Are you
It's
behind
nice.
it or in front of it or next to it?
Right next to it.
Okay.
In the back.
So with that, I'm gonna let you tell the board what you'd like to do and how you'd like to do it.
So it's basically just a mobile farm market that we're gonna do, us and, what's the name of the company? Sunscapes. They're gonna,
They're all around.
they're like, we're having them grow a bunch of baskets, and then we'll put perennials and baskets of flowers. And then when produce is available, then we'll offer produce, in-season stuff. But just, so we'll roll the van in Friday morning.
Terry's parking lot?
Well, it's right on the front of
right
his
in the
property,
front.
right, like on the,
Yeah, there's a
Grass
photograph
on the
here
lawn.
where they wanna put it.
Oh, okay.
It's marked out in
That's
red.
why we're talking about it before.
So this is the tree you mean?
Yeah.
yeah, so it'll be to the left of that tree,
We're talking about this tree
basically.
back here.
And
You're really closer to advanced heating and air conditioning.
Yeah, we figured that would be the easiest space to
That way
park,
it
it,
doesn't-
not be in anybody's way.
Yeah, it doesn't take everybody in the parking lot, and then it wouldn't interfere with the walkway we've got, because I've had a 16-foot trailer in there for mulch. I mulched around the trees, and I got a 16-foot trailer, and I backed it right up in there, because I'm too lazy to use a wheelbarrow, and scooped it off the trailer, so I know that stuff will fit in there.
Okay.
Yeah, so that's why I figured
Have
a
you spoken
van.
with your neighbors? I mean, you'd have to utilize, is that their driveway or?
Well, it's a shared common driveway.
shared common driveway.
Yeah, but they would be using the parking lot of the church.
Yeah,
Okay.
I think the challenge or the concern would be to make, how you're gonna direct people to come in if that's the only, only way you want people to come in.
And then there's the doctor's office next door. My wife's talked to them, and they said we could use that because nobody's there on the weekends.
The
So
other
either
stuff,
place-
you mean?
I don't know. Yeah,
Well,
dentist.
Well, I think what you were referring to is you don't want cars trying to pull in.
I don't think it would be ideal to encourage cars to pull
Well,
in.
we've got to be careful because this is the issue. The issue is, as you all know, the house next door, which is now advanced heating and air conditioning, at one time was the parsonage for the church.
Yes.
So the only access point for that parsonage, which is now advanced heating and air conditioning, is that driveway.
That's what I was thinking,
So
yeah.
you've got to keep that driveway open.
Right.
And by the same token, you've got to get people safely across the front of that property to where you're trying to do your sales.
Yeah, typically, he uses that as one way out of there, because they come around the back of the church and go down out to 5 Mile Line.
Yeah, okay.
Well, isn't there public parking behind the fire hall there? Isn't that all big, isn't there a big open public?
No, that's not. The only public parking right now that's usable is the one right by Dr. Saccone that you're referring to. That area is...
Yeah, on the other side of Advance.
That is also owned by the fire hall, and we do have a lease with them to utilize.
The parking lot you own, can't you park it there?
Yes.
Yeah.
Assuming that,
Yeah.
Well, your intent is to utilize that for parking and minimize any impact, so you don't want to put it in the parking lot, because that eats up parking space.
Exactly, yeah,
Exactly.
Plenty of parking if people know where to go and it's safer.
Right. And I mean, maybe we got to put
I'm
up
thinking about safety.
a parking arrow or something for the time we're there.
Right.
Yeah, but I
Something
fully
like that.
expect them to use the parking lot of the church.
Right.
That's the plan.
So, can you talk a little bit about the timeframes that you want to utilize it?
Saturday is pretty much the time frame. Friday set up and have it for like Friday night, Friday afternoon, and then Saturday, and then be out of there basically Sunday morning.
And you would just take it away back to your place?
Yep,
and just-
so that it's only there when, you know, that's why, I don't know, do you have the drawing there with the van and so I'm talking to a sign company right now to do the awning and do the, you know, wrap it so it's a nice looking piece, and it'll just come in and go out. So it'll actually be staying at my place down the street when it's not in use.
So do you have any signage proposed for it to direct people in for the farm market during the time frame that you'd be operational?
All we're gonna do is our signage that's on the van basically, and then like maybe an A-frame or something, and we'll have to have one that's
Saying,
like a parking
farm
arrow.
Yeah, I think an
Yeah.
A-frame would be
Or whatever.
Yeah.
directional.
Yeah, and I mean, that's what probably could just be a, say, farm market parking with an arrow.
I mean, and I know that, you know, within the parking lot, you've got that little island.
Target, actually, it's become.
It's a target.
It's been hit twice since it's been redone.
That might be a good spot for the, you know, a sign to help
Someday.
direct into that parking lot.
Yep. Yeah, something up tall, like windshield height.
I'm
Yeah, they're
certainly
smacked it.
supportive of having a farm market coming in.
I mean, it's just just a try. Let's see if,
Yeah, yeah,
you know, if
yeah.
it'll draw
I
attention.
think it's just the
and-
logistics, at least from my perspective, is still just making sure that it's done right so that it's successful.
Yeah, and
Yeah.
it'd just be kind of cool for the neighborhood, really.
And,
Right.
what would be the time frame be in terms of April or May to?
Probably, well,
Yeah.
end of May probably, you know, until,
It's April, it's still snowing.
yeah, so I mean.
Put on here May 11th through September
Yeah,
29th.
that was the goal.
Yeah.
You know, I don't know now.
Might start June.
It
What
might
should
be
we
back
think?
further. That's talking, there's no weather, no good weather till May now.
Yeah.
Not even 60 degrees
And
until
it's
after May 1st.
Crop dependent then.
Yeah, exactly. So I mean, even though we have the baskets are growing now, you know, those things are growing now, the perennials are growing now, but they won't be pretty. I don't want to stick stuff out there that's just, ugh, you know what I mean? So it might be a couple weeks back, or it's going to be both ends,
Right.
you know, when it starts and
No,
when it
I think it's a
ends.
good thing to try out, but
So-
I'd prefer having it in Terry's parking lot, because, you know, he's the one that's involved with those, and it's safety. And yeah, we have the parking lot that's for public, we do have that. And we have across the street, there is a lot of parking, and for the time frame, how many people are gonna come in and out, I don't know. Maybe
Well, and that's
it's a
the
big
thing, we
success.
don't know either, so it's like, if we have
It's
to put a
mobile, you don't
parking
have-
guide out there, we'll put somebody out there, you know, if we, hopefully that's a problem.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I don't-
People want to bike or walk up too, you know.
Yeah,
Like you said, it's a
so,
mobile thing, it's not like some farm markets that take over a huge area.
no, it's just gonna be a van and maybe a rack of baskets, you know, that'll be in the van and just come out, so
Bring
keep it
people
real
to Four
small at
Corners.
first and see what happens.
So I agree with you. It would be nice to have something to draw people to the Four Corners. Ideally, if this were anywhere else in the town of Penfield outside of the Four Corners, what would happen is they would be identified as itinerant vendors.
Yeah.
In which case they
Sunscape is,
they
right?
would, that's,
Everywhere.
well, they would come to the zoning board of appeals and apply for an itinerant vendor's license, which they would obtain, and then Amy's office would then issue the permit and then let them get going. In this case, because they're in the Four Corners, it would seem to me that you would have jurisdiction over the issuance of an itinerant vendor's license. And certainly, we want to make the neighbors aware of the fact that they're proposing this. I'm not sure they even know at this point in time.
No, I haven't told.
So, I mean,
Yeah, so would that require the public?
well, that's what I'm thinking, and maybe luckily now, because the weather is so bad, now would be a good time. I mean, we could set a public hearing. It would have to happen in mid-May, but you could do that, and then if everything went well, you could issue them that license.
I'm not opposed to it. I do agree with Linda that I'm willing to give it a shot and see how the season goes, but I'm still having a hard time trying to visualize why I would rather, it's better to have it parked on the grass on the other side of the property as opposed to in the parking lot. But again, I'm willing to kind of let and see how it goes and just, you know, check in.
I think the only
Get it on wheels.
Yeah, is it for a season? Is it like the itinerant?
Yes, it would
permits
be
are those
for, you can set it for as long as you really want it.
Yeah.
I think really the reason you're doing this is because you got good visibility at that point on the
Right.
site.
Yeah,
Right.
You don't
it's one
have
less
great
parking spot,
visibility
people
in the
can walk
parking
up.
area itself,
Right,
so you
it's just
really
make
wouldn't
it,
see
that's why I
very
mean
well.
like with a striped awning and just to make it visible.
So I think that, I think the board should have a public hearing on it. We need to notify the neighbors about it. For one reason or another, traffic, nothing else.
Give you some more publicity too.
Yeah, and it might help the neighbors in some case, certainly, or not, or something like that, might have more visitors, but certainly,
They can plan
advanced
around it.
heating and air conditioning should know about it, and they should understand what's going on there. So, if the board is comfortable, we could set a public hearing, we could put a resolution in for the next, at the next meeting, setting the public hearing, and we'll be in mid-May. So we would be quite a ways along in the season by the time we had everything done.
I think that was about-
Now, that being said,
there's more?
Yes, there's more.
Okay.
So that being said, if it gets to the point where it's really, really nice out, and they really want to get started, but they haven't gotten through their public hearing process yet, maybe they've had the public hearing, but you haven't been able to finish, they could apply for a temporary rec permit for that period of time, for 3 weeks or so, and get that done if it becomes an issue.
Okay.
But you'd still have the jurisdiction over the itinerant vendor's license.
Yeah, I mean, because Terry could almost, it could be like an event for his,
Exactly.
for his
Yeah, let's do it.
business.
Yeah.
you know.
So, I mean, you could be covered time-wise, I think, if it becomes
Okay.
too cumbersome in terms of the time frame. But right now, we are in mid-May, so.
Are there specific findings we would have to make to grant the itinerant vendor, or is it just a temporary, so to speak?
It would be
Something
similar,
specific?
it would be similar to if you were doing a conditional use permit. You're looking at safety, obviously, you're looking at, traffic control, things that you're concerned about, signage, impact to adjacent property owners. I mean, all those things, we have to make findings that they're going to be, mitigated where possible.
I think it sounds like a good idea.
Advance isn't open on Saturday at all.
No, and that's a good finding. I mean, obviously, that's going to help, but he has that right to know.
Oh, yeah, sure.
Oh, yeah.
And he has the right of ingress and egress to his property, so we got to make sure that occurs.
And it's always helpful, I think, as talk to anyone you can ahead of time, because when it comes time for the hearing, it certainly helps to have somebody come and talk in your favor as well. That in terms of whether they have, no opposition to what you're doing. I think it's a creative idea, and we certainly have a lot of experience with Sunscape in the town, and they're very popular. So I think we should just entertain a motion.
Sure, I'll make a motion that we schedule a public hearing.
I second that.
And all in favor?
Aye.
Okay, so we work with Kaz.
And if you would, you really should sit down with Advanced and just kind of go through. Now that you're back and now that you know exactly what you're
Yeah,
doing.
we'll meet with them and bring them to the neighbors, show them what I'm thinking.
We will notify the neighbors within 500 feet or so of the site and let them know.
And I'm talking to them right now because they're still trying to get the paving done around the back.
Oh, really?
I tried to do it last fall. The weather didn't cooperate, and so now I'm trying to get it done now, and it's still not cooperating.
Supposedly it's spring.
Yeah, that's what they keep saying.
Yeah, just had.
All right, well, thank you.
Okay.
All right,
Good to
thank
see
you very much, good to see you.
Okay, that is all we have for guests tonight. We'll move on to action items. Mr. Tate, Green Renewable, possible mulch acquisition.
Mark,
They fly.
is around for me.
As long as they're not on the plowing, it's okay. It's the sacrifices we make around here.
So as you all know, we don't go around and pick up mulch. However, a lot of residents do take advantage of the ability to bring mulch to our site, in addition to our own, the kind of trees that we cut down on some of our own projects. From time to time, we do end up with quite a bit of mulch. Given last year in the windstorm and even kind of what we had, last Wednesday, there's been a sizable amount of brush brought in that we've kind of ground up. Right now, I believe we've got somewhere in the range of 3,000 to 5,000 yards, if not more. And it's really just sitting around being a waste. So Ideally, it'd be nice to kind of free up some of that space. In the past, we had been actually spending our own kind of time and effort and money to haul it out to the landfill. They were taking it for free, but in an effort to kind of keep things out of the landfill that don't necessarily need to go there, I found a company that's interested in purchasing that mulch from us. So we would load it, they'll haul it all the way, and we don't need to worry about it. They'll take all of it and, kind of free up that space. So it'd be a better, a benefit to us.
So they take the brush,
Yeah, they'll take
or
all.
or you mulch it first?
They'll take all of the mulch that we have
Oh,
already
okay.
ground up. A lot of it's getting old. I know we want to put it
Got it,
out for
okay.
residents to be
And then
able
we've
to,
got the new stuff.
in the pile that we've got.
We want
over here at
fresh
Columbus
mulch
Crossing.
for the
But I'd like to
residents.
be able to put fresh out for them and even get rid of that pile that's starting to age.
Got it, okay.
All right, that's a good
So
way. of
I'd like to get rid of kind of everything that's old that we don't have,
Mm-hmm.
need for, and be able to kind of start over.
What's the going rate for, what type of revenue are we talking about for mulch?
It varies, and depending on kind of the size and quantity, it's anywhere from, $0 to $2 a yard. They quoted me kind of before the windstorm and before the abundance of trees coming down, so they quoted me on the high end, wanting to, work with us, and giving us that full $2 a yard. They're willing to, I spoke with them this afternoon, and they're willing to continue to honor that price, if we want to move forward.
So as far as effort by your employees, there's,
We'd have one person in a loader loading their trucks. They'd take it, minimum 75 to 80 yard loads.
okay.
Huh? When would this happen?
It kind of throughout the, the spring or
When's our big mulch pile arrive, the parking lot one?
right now. So we've got that out there year round.
Right.
There's quite a bit there, and I'd actually like to get rid of that pile or get rid of the old mulch that's sitting there and put fresh mulch out in place of it. But there's some out there, and we add to it year round.
So when do you think the fresh mulch would arrive? Is this like May or something?
Ideally, probably right after the spring drop off.
Okay.
So before Memorial Day.
All right,
I'd
so-
have some out there, some of the fresher mulch
Yeah.
that we ground up kind of the end of, in this past fall,
All right.
and have some
Some
out there
people take it,
beforehand.
right? Yeah.
Yep, some people are out there taking it now, but I want
I want to keep some there for
to,
those
yes,
people.
yep.
Sure.
Sounds good to me.
No, sounds good.
I'll move, but authorize the DPW to contract with the
I'll put a resolution in for next week for you
contract with
guys
the company
to.
to take our old mulch for a
Second.
price.
All in favor?
Aye.
Okay. So that will be in by Friday for next week. Parkview Drive, period in place pipeline.
So this one's not quite as desirable.
It's about the sewers,
Yes.
still.
This is not a sanitary issue.
Not
no, sir, it's a new- So it's existing pipes in the neighborhood. Everything from basically Old Westfall to Parkington Meadows drains down to the lowest point in the road on Parkview Drive, which happens to be right across from the new pump station we put in. It then kind of comes down and turns, and it flows down into the Monroe County's parkland area. So as I can show you here. So everything from here to here all flow down and then down into the kind of swampland behind Baker Commodities and
We are
Glendevere's.
compatible.
Yes.
It's since come to our attention that there's some issues with the pipe. The pipe was put in back in the late 50s, so it's quite old. It's a corrugated metal pipe. Over time, that metal has rotted out. There's a lot of rot holes and deterioration. As you can see in some of the pictures, there's actually sticks and leaves coming up through the bottom of the pipe. So not only are they coming up, but the water that flows through it is kind of leaking out. It's causing a lot of the sand to erode down into the wetlands.
How did you come across this initiative?
Monroe County Soils and Water Conservation Service identified it.
They were walking the trails and they actually noticed it and informed us.
Oh.
So we, unfortunately, it's not gonna get any better, it's only gonna get worse. We really need, the best thing for it would be to do a cast and place liner within the pipe. That liner will actually, since some of the pipe is buried and some is exposed, even the portions of pipe that are buried, if that metal completely rots away and is nothing more than a memory, that liner will support the soil, and we will never need to come back and do anything again.
So is it just that one pipe? Is it just that one pipe?
So these pictures are from one of the manholes. On the one drawing, the blue circles are kind of manholes within it, and then the green is the stretch. Ideally, we'd like to do a liner everything from out at the roadside of Parkview all the way back. These pictures were taken in one of the manholes looking both upstream and downstream. So we can see, you see the rust at the bottom of the pipe where it's...
It's a large pipe too, isn't it?
It's a 24-inch diameter pipe, and it's somewhere in the range of 300 to 350 feet long, and it varies between a 45-degree angle and a 70-degree angle. So the water's moving down it.
Steep going over the hillside.
How long does this treatment last? Like, how long would this be good for as far as this surfacing? Is it kind of a one and done where
Yes.
you won't have to?
As long as, just like you hear about how plastic takes, forever to break down in landfills, it'd be essentially the same thing here. It's a polymer that would cure within the pipe. We'd never have to come back and do anything, at least not in any of our time.
And who does this?
So I've been talking to a few companies. Scanex Pipeline is a local company. There's also Kenyon Pipeline Inspections, which is on the Monroe County contract. So I'm talking to them as well. They're out of Queensbury, but I know they're doing a lot of work in the area. I've seen them up and down 5 Mile Line doing work for Monroe County DOT as of this week. So they've been in the area, and I'd like to have them take a look at it as well. So.
And then they'll put together pricing estimates?
Yep, I've got kind of a price per foot from Scanex. I'm waiting to hear from Kenyon.
Okay.
It's somewhat hard to know the exact cost just because of that slope. I can measure it, from A to B, but knowing that the pipe isn't all at a continuous angle, it varies a little bit. Okay.
So it would be your pleasure tonight having permission to go ahead, to go forward?
Yes.
With acquiring the price quotes, then coming back to us with that?
Or depending on if
it's on county contract, we're gonna have to do a separate bid for it.
Yeah.
Depending if their number, how their number comes out, you don't have to.
If their numbers are, widely different,
Right, yeah.
then I'm gonna wanna look into it a little more.
Okay.
Anything over $35,000, I do need to do a public bid. I understand that. So, unless it's on a contract. So, kind of depending how they come in and what I hear in the next day or two, I should have a better idea. But unfortunately, we do need to move forward with this quickly, one way or another.
How intrusive is the work for the neighbors?
And that's the nice part about doing the lining. Nothing needs to be dug up.
They
They
just
pop
blow
the
it in.
manhole covers, they slide it down, they actually use a bag to inflate it, and then they'll use steam to cure it in place. So it'll be, they won't need to dig anything, no equipment, wouldn't ruin lawns, trees, and that's the unfortunate part because it is in between two houses. It's very tight there. There's trees, and then the steep slope, and
And how long does it take them to do?
they'll have it done in one day,
It's just very specialized work.
likely
So
2
obviously,
hours.
you're paying for the specialty of it. It's a little different than just, digging a storm pipe
Who
up
says they
and
want to
digging
do
it
that when they
down.
grow up?
We've done this in other parts of town.
Yes, yep.
I mean, recently we've done, DPW did some stuff off of Panorama, where we welded pipe together and went over the side, but we had a little more room, the slope wasn't as much. We were able to use conventional equipment, they took it over, they were able to get to the bottom, we were able to get to the top. We used excavators and everything else due to the slope of this, the proximity to the wetlands in Ellison Park.
Really?
Environmentally sensitive areas, it's a little bit different. You'd have to clear all the trees on the slope, and it would be very invasive, and then how do you get to the bottom? So this is a little bit more specialized.
The fact that
Work
there's
to do it.
manholes in between really restricts what we can do with replacing the pipe. If they weren't there, you could run one long stretch of welded pipe up and down the hill, but the fact that there's manholes in between, there's no way of getting equipment to them.
And you've got to get that bend down to the 70-degree.
Yes, and have it flex with the topography.
All right,
What's the motion?
what's the motion on?
So
Allowing,
To move forward.
I know I
with the
spoke with
for
Supervisor, he wanted
getting
me
estimates.
to come to you guys and
Make sure we're comfortable with doing it.
sure?
yes, and then I will continue to work with the companies and touch base with him and try to get a
Authorize the
resolution in
supervisor
for
to
next week to
sign a
authorize
contract
him to
if-
sign it.
Yeah, we do a resolution for that.
Yes.
I think.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep.
So move forward with the project.
Get estimates.
Get estimates, and with the intent of having a resolution
Yes.
come before the board
Yep.
for the supervisor to sign a contract.
I'll move.
Second?
Thank you.
Sure.
All in favor?
Aye.
Okay. Okay. The always exciting sidewalk waiver request.
Yeah.
1921 Harris Road.
Sidewalk waiver, this is out east. I did add a little dot on the map because I knew I'd lose it. It is right here. So Harris Road, we're kind of east of our theoretical line, kind of in the East Penfield area. It's a two-lot subdivision. It's a single-family house as well as a barn and kind of a growing operation for trees and stuff out in that area. The application is currently pending before the planning board. Be heard tomorrow night. You get put in a request ahead of time, but it seems pretty straightforward location, and
That's fine.
be happy to know the draft of the modified sidewalk waiver process is on the supervisor's desk as well as the map. So just working with him and council to look at that, and then that'll be before the board for your consideration. Sidebar to this, but just as an update, that'll be a new discussion amongst the board. We'll have to have a hearing on it and everything else, but at least we're looking at
What a waiver for that property.
kind of making the east side, more of what we call an automatic waiver, kind of the east end of the area, and then also modifying
Be
the formula.
consistent.
Modifying the formula for the west side. I know the board has kind of worked
That's part of
through
conditioning, so.
a couple of different spots, and we've got some Excel spreadsheets to kind of work through that math. So
Very
just
good.
to kind of give an update, that's in the works.
All right.
So,
I move that we grant the waiver.
I second the waiver.
all in favor?
Aye.
Okay, that brings us to the end of action items.
Do you have a map for the YMCA if the board wants to?
Some preliminary or just some
It's
basic?
an informational item, and
Okay.
I just kind of want to give the board the heads up about it. This is kind of orient the board. Here's the YMCA, it's an aerial photo. YMCA, here's 250. Here's Grossman's property here. As part of the planning board is hearing the possible future project with mixed uses, the senior development piece. The discussion has come up or back to the access drive that goes into the YMCA. The traffic light is here. In initial discussions when the Y went in, or the last expansion of the Y, and knowing that as part of the comprehensive plan, we talked about this being rezoned to mixed use, now it has been rezoned to mixed use, is looking at the possible dedication of this access drive, and then as we get into it, kind of a spine going north that will become a town dedicated road, which then other developments could access off of. So it's just in the discussion point at this phase. The supervisor stayed in on a few meetings talking about this access drive here. It was contemplated to be a town dedicated road, and therefore with local town standards at that time. Obviously, as the board's gone through different other applications for it, we've looked at getting core samples just to verify that. Obviously, they'll go through that process. The width of the road is there already. It's we'd have to look at taking right away what that width is. There's really no utilities in that. All the utilities that feed the YMCA come in the back, sewers go that way. This new development, the utilities would connect here. We
So I'd
don't
assume
want
if that was going through its approval process eventually, that would be something you'd have to have a dedicated road. It's too big, they just have
That's
a...
kind of the main
a neighbor's
line.
road.
Well, as it goes off, all these other
Right.
developments would tie into that. So to have that dedicated, would make,
Makes sense.
would make it more viable for the development moving forward. Obviously, there's some logistics to work out and everything else,
Yeah.
but just kind of an initial update for the board. and
Yeah,
just
that's
kinda
right, it's an
let you know.
information item only.
Yep, no decision, obviously, we're still working through that.
At the
but
same
just
time,
looking at
Wickham has been there all
conversations.
this time, and it could have been a dedicated road then, ahead of...
Well, I mean, at that time, the YMCA put it in, and then we negotiated, so you see an access easement across it, with an access easement off the end of that, and, Wickham had their driveway, which was here, but there's no additional development, but as we look at, a spine going north, when other development's coming off of that, actually, this would be less dedicated road than, if it was a Ryan Homes development or other
Yeah.
community development, you would have crisscrossing roads going all up through there that would, be dedicated roads to the town. We'd look to take kind of the main spine of it, and then all the, offshoots to that would be private.
But it doesn't have to happen soon.
This is just image for sketch before the board. It's-
Right,
So,
the road though, doesn't...
If we were to entertain it becoming a dedicated road, the YMCA close off half of those.
and part of the conversation is how,
Yeah.
we're advocating to minimize these here and
I
how.
cannot see a dedicated road with 12 different parking lot access points. I mean, that's
That's a
just
good point.
ridiculous.
that's
So
just-
they'd
that's
have to
under
close off,
discussions
they'd have to close off like the first 3 to create a better throat. And then, you're looking at closing off 1 or 2 more, maybe putting an actual main entrance into the Y, and then you can access the parking lot. But just for your feedback, so when you're talking with the applicant or the Y, I cannot see myself approving a dedicated road there with, it's like a parking lot. We're not plowing parking lots. So that's just
And-
my feedback on
Yeah,
that.
and then obviously we would have to have a maintenance agreement over that.
Yeah.
Similar to Brant Point Drive, we have a maintenance agreement over that with the DeMarco Group. It's our road, but
Right.
they share in maintenance of it,
Right.
just due to the size of
But
it.
it was Y's road right now, so
It
they
is.
we would take on ownership of the road.
Yep.
And if one takes on ownership of a road, we could say the parking lot needs to change its configuration.
And that's all part of the process and the discussions going on now, is how is access handled, how, is that done?
They
And
have to.
obviously they have
I
to
can just
dedicate
imagine
the
the
road to us.
first time the
and-
plow goes down and
lane
pushes
transfers
snow in
and
every
everything.
single parking lot entrance, and then you've got their little plows trying to figure out what to do with the snow. And
Well, and we've had preliminary conversations
Yeah.
about that,
Yeah, you
as far as the
weigh in.
maintenance.
So they know it's an issue, they understand.
Yep.
Okay, so it's kind of a heads up.
Yeah, it's not an action item tonight for the board, it's just, this is part of conversations as mixed use is starting to move ahead. This will come back to the town board at some point and maybe more of a discussion.
That is something we handle, is the road dedication. The planning board's taking care of the other part, but that'll come back to us.
Yep.
Okay, all right. Thanks.
Sure.
Okay, see no old business, no new business. Next meeting is scheduled for April 25th. And I will adjourn the meeting at 7:48.